Real important in a consensus type model is participation, and it's really nice to see you all here today. That's really critical. You can't participate if you don't show up. And so very important is the participation of all the constituent groups. Page 2 of the document outlines what happens if there is not unanimity in a committee structure or a committee or the focus group. And consensus does not always mean 100% agreement. And we've had some disagreement on a focus group. And the people who disagree in a consensus-making model are expected to not sit silent and then grumble about what happened, but rather to express their viewpoints. And if that agreement and effective participation does not require the same level of involvement for each of the groups. And then the ultimate responsibility for decisions rests with the college president, the chancellor, and the board of trustees. And as you'll see as we get into this, the middle of the hourglass where all the decisions flow is the college president, the chancellor, and then ultimately the board of trustees. Now the rest of the document starts delineating the specific roles of each of the groups. So first, of course, is the board of trustees, and the board of trustees role is very clearly and elaborately defined by Education Code 70902. And so on pages 3 and 4 are direct, verbatim, cut and paste out of Ed Code 70902. So according to Ed Code 70902, A1, every community college district shall be under the control of the Board of Trustees. And if you don't like being under the control of the Board of Trustees, write your legislator. But we like it, right?
I doubt it.
When you do not have a roadmap or some functionality around decision making, it creates confusion and therefore some stress. And so this is a mechanism that we feel that will be curative and also provide the evidence that the commission is looking for. And in fact, they actually call for a governance style document that is regularly reviewed, updated, and published. And so it directly satisfies one of the standards as a result.
That hourglass, it seems to me, can convert back to a pyramid rather quickly. That is, to a top-down model rather quickly if the consensus that we're asking for in this document isn't adopted by all stakeholders. And I wondered at what level the other constituent groups were going to, at how they were going to express their consensus.
The hourglass is a structure, and what you want, I think, is to make sure the structure cannot collapse because of the internal mechanisms that each group has in understanding their roles. Okay, so that's a real important piece. It's sort of like well, it's like any process that's working well. You know when it's working well because there are a few problems. And when it's not working well, you can, or when there are problems, you know it's working well when those problems get resolved through discussion, debate, and clearly defined roles. So I think that's a start. You know, the ultimate button-pushing catastrophe is not what we're trying to construct against. It's rather the day-to-day decision-making understanding. And that's where I think the clarification of roles plays that big part.
What we're trying to do here is make it clear to everyone where they fit within the role, within the structure, so that if, in fact, one of the constituent groups, be it the board, be it some other constituent group, steps beyond that role, we've got a document that we can go to and say, no, here is what the Ed Code provides, here is what the board policy provides, and work to channel whatever that decision is back into the proper hourglass framework that is being talked about. But it's a self-policing and has to be self-policing, and if everybody knows their roles, it's easier to police.
It looks like, if I paraphrase this, the 6 is the micromanaging of the board, right? And then we are writing all these things to show them that the board is not micromanaging. But are we doing anything about the board not micromanaging?
That there has long been disagreement amongst the different constituent groups as to what exactly constitutes micromanagement, whether any one particular decision is or is not micromanagement. And if we have a process in place like this where it is more clear or more defined, I think that provides ammunition for someone to say whether something that's being done is appropriate for that constituent group or not appropriate. And so, hopefully with this clarification, we can all get a better sense because you and I may disagree as to what's micromanagement or not. This way, on a kind of going forward basis, we've got some documentation in place that we can show to the commission that says this is our Constitution, this is the document assigning the various roles that we're going to try to live within. And if the board comes up with a decision that someone feels is outside its purview, then I think it's incumbent upon the board to go to the ed code or to the policy and say, here's the basis for our making that decision. And if we don't have that basis, it's entirely appropriate for the Senate, the classified Senate, whomever, to come to the board and say, no, that's a decision that properly belongs here, belongs somewhere else. And I will tell you, the proof is in the pudding, and it's going to take, living under a regime like this for a while, but I have sensed amongst my colleagues a very definite interest in making sure that everybody, including us, is exercising appropriate authority, no more, and that we're hearing from and getting input from those who deserve to be heard and are entitled to to give their input.
So the answer is yes, there's an effort from the board.
I wish I had been that. Next time, I'm going to answer innocent questions, yes or no.
So if we can record instances between now and October where this was applied and used, that might be an additional piece of evidence that would show them that we not just are able to write the document, but to live within it actively.
Agree completely. Absolutely.
One of the things we discussed was having a sign-off sheet or some sort of a sheet that goes with items that come from IVC that show, yes, at this level within our system, it has gone through the collegial consultation process or effective participation process.
And I think this is invaluable as a source if it becomes our Bible for the next couple of years before, and then we can launch. Well, if we can launch from it at that point, because it becomes part of us, I think it's invaluable. And I didn't see it right off, but now I really do. I just wanted to say that.
Well, Susan was calling it the Bible and Don was calling it the Constitution, so somewhere between the Bible and now you notice in the middle of page 6 there's big bold print that says here may be a missing link, delegation to the college pres. We don't have a board policy that delegates authority to our college president other than Board Policy 2001, which just talks about the college president can organize committees. So the next sections of this policy clearly delineate what is the role of the academic senate in the right to participate effectively, the classified senate, and then the ASIVC. So what and this was a really good suggestion that came out of the focus group, is that the term shared governance is vague, undefined, and used differently by probably every person that uses the term. So what we're going to try to start doing as a college and as a group is moving away from the term shared governance, which is sometimes meaningless, and start to focus more on what does it mean to participate effectively.